Hi, I'm Dan from HValley Tools, and today we are talking about the can-do clamp. So you've seen a lot of corner clamps before. They come in all sorts of varieties. This is very much like all the other HValley tool line of clamps and jigs and everything. Aluminum construction, heavy duty. You can't see it, but it's heavy. It has really tall walls. The thing that I like about this most is that if you're doing casework or cabinetry or custom, any custom woodworking, this guy is able to clamp multiple thicknesses. So you don't have to have just 3/4 stock on both sides. This auto adjusts. So the way that does that is on the back side here. This is on a swivel. So if you have one side that's thicker than the other, it'll just push up against it. You would think, well, maybe that might make it a little out of square. It won't, because these walls are tall and are exactly 90 degrees, so it's going to be clamping and pushing until they are 90 on both sides. So that is a huge win. If you're making casework where you're doing a lot of cabinets, or even something that's a little large, they have slots here, these elongated holes and slots here where you can mount this to the workbench. You could either clamp it if you want to put it near a corner and clamp it down to the workbench, or you can just put a screw with a washer and hold this down into more of a permanent place. You can get multiples, so if you're doing some longer cabinets, if you're doing a kitchen island or something like that, you can put these on your workbench, put them where they're going to be flush with each other, screw them down, and now you can just put a long piece of plywood and it's not going to tip over. A lot of the other corner clamps that you're going to find are really short, so if you try to put a piece of plywood on it, it's just going to flop over. With these, even if you're kind of in the ballpark of clamping, if you're not going to clamp it all the way but just enough, it has the height where it's not going to tip it over, which is pretty sweet. Other things, if you buy a couple of them, you can see in past videos we're using the miter lock bit. So for tall, pillar type stuff, you can do things like this, where it's kind of used as a hold and get it in place and then clamp both sides, which is nice. Box making, same thing. Because of the tall 90-degree fences on each side, you have a lot of surface area to pull that thing in. It's not really going to cantilever the joint as you're clamping it down. So all of those are really great uses. So the other nice thing about this is you notice that on the corner there's a huge cutout. So that's obviously where these two ends are going to meet. What's nice about this is if you're doing picture frames, or if you're doing casework or whatever, and you just want to tack stuff in or even screw it in permanently, you have all this open area after you clamp it down where you can do your countersinks and you can put your screws in, and you have plenty of room to work. A lot of those other corner clamps, especially the ones where you have on the outside, there's not really a room for a drill bit or a drill to get to. Especially when you're doing things like picture frames, if you're doing miters. Same thing with this. You push them in until they're touching, you clamp it down, and you get that even clamping force all the way around. And again, you could put a little pin nail in there on the end just to hold it, to like glue setup, or to put a spline in there. The other thing is, because of the aluminum construction and because of its just strong holding power, if you screw this down to a table, you could weld with it. You can put some stock in there, clamp it down. You have the tall wall, so even this kind of stuff, like 1.5 inch thick aluminum and steel, you can put that in there, clamp it down, and do your welding. So you know how much welding clamps cost. These are nowhere in that ballpark. So for clamps that are multi-purpose, that are going to last you forever, that are heavy duty, it's one per box. You can get multiples of them, and they often have sales. We have sales here that percentages off, so you get multiples of them. It's a really good clamp to have because, again, it's one of those things you buy once and then you can use it forever. So I highly recommend getting one or multiples to do all your projects, casework, picture frames, boxes, whatever you're doing. All available in store and at HValleytools.com.